Hello, everyone, and welcome to Saga of the Swamp Thing Book Club by Alan Moore. We're missing a bunch of people today. Some will be joining us late. But Jennifer is here this week, and there was no way she was going to miss this volume.
No.
Just want to thank everybody for joining us once again. Smell that physical media.
Yeah. This was a good one.
Yes, it was. So since you missed out last show, I want you to kind of vamp a little bit about your relationship with Swamp Thing as a character, not your fictional relationship.
Well, my relationship with the character is mostly based on my relationship that I built in my head with Swamp Thing. Like, Swamp Thing is literally my background on my phone, and I don't know if I have their permission or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it anyways. My partner is actually in the process of drawing me with Swamp Thing. So this is me being gently embraced by Swamp Thing. There's another not safe for work version of that, but I won't be posting it here. Anyways, I love Swamp Thing a lot. I feel like I read most of the issues in here digitally, and then this is the first time that I've gone and like really read from front to back the whole thing. I don't know. Swamp Thing is so good.
I've always kind of said this is one of the greatest romances in comics.
It is. Like Batman and Catwoman, or even Talia, end up, I don't know, I feel like everyone simps over Batman and Catwoman for like DC relationships, but I'm like, Swamp Thing and Abby.
So
I would say beautiful romance.
Kate Kane and Maggie Sawyer, when that was a thing, was, I think, one of my favorites, and I won't get in that dark path of interference. But go ahead and look for those issues of Batwoman if you missed it, and they were very good, and then you can see a whole creative tweet and quit the book.
Yeah. And then we did get, who did we get on the run after that? Because it was Ruka, Williams, and I forget who else. But it was the
female. Oh no, it was New 52 or Rebirth, but we got the other writer who I didn't hate, but it just wasn't the same.
Yeah, and Marguerite Bennett, the yes. Marguerites were doing it. Was it Marguerite Bennett and Savage?
Both of them, yes.
And I didn't care for that one anyways. But Swamp Thing is just, especially this last issue in this book, is like the romance for the ages. It's so good.
Oh, show it again.
Sorry, I tried to mute before I sneezed, but there you go. You get a sneeze with Swamp Thing.
I love the little smile he's got.
Yeah,
on the other page.
He's like, yeah, buddy.
So this had two really good introductions to it. One by Jamie Delano, who, if you read Hellblazer back when it started, was one of the writers. The Neil Gaiman one called Love and Death and Overture. He spills some tea every now and again. I thought was kind of interesting. He also talks about how, as of the issue called Love and Death, DC, for a newsstand version, was actually got rid of the comics code from those issues forward.
At least for that one issue.
Nope. All of them going forward, he said.
Really? Because in here, I could have sworn the next issue after that one had the Love and Death, after Love and Death had the comic code, but maybe that was just like whatever they showed in here.
The first scene actually horrified me. Love and Death also made comics history, as beginning with this issue, the Saga of the Swamp Thing became the first DC comic with newsstand distribution to go out on a monthly basis without the Comics Code Authority seal of approval. Love and Death was far too rich for the people who administer the code to handle it. To DC's credit, that from that point on, rather than trying to tone it down, they chose to put it out without the code seal. And it was here that the artistic team really began to let loose. And yes, it does become more gory after that issue.
I think it's, so when I see here, so like there's Love and Death here, and that's issue number
29.
And so then I guess the reason why is because issue 30 has
29
the code right there. Sorry, so issue 30 has the code
Oh.
right there. So that's why I was kind of confused. But then if you look at the rest of them, they don't. So maybe they're just like, just kidding. Yeah, because like all the rest throughout the book don't have the little code on them.
Could be, maybe because it had less rotting flesh in that one issue.
Less rotting flesh. Mm-hmm.
Because the comics code had a problem with zombies.
That's where they draw the line. Someone can be like fake SA'd, but you know.
Speaking of Swamp Thing with the Eisners, I was very surprised Romby's run did not get nominated for anything.
For anything. I don't know if that's a DC thing though, because they kind of have to approve on like which ones get submitted. And I wouldn't be surprised if they had put all of their eggs into the Nightwing basket. And I'm also surprised that Nightwing didn't get anything, got nominated for 5 different things on the Eisners, and didn't.
I don't think Tom Taylor's ever won anything. I don't think he's won in past years when he's been nominated.
And I do, you know, because I'm here, I do have to say congratulations to Books with Pictures. One Spirit, Spirit of the Retailer, whatever that one is, best comic shop in the world, hands down. So that's my local shop that I go to every week and get comics and waffles.
Yes, the waffles. That's the most important part. And you got to have waffles with David F. Walker.
I did. That was delightful. And David F. Walker also won he shared the prize and got best ongoing series for Bitter Root and best not memoir, but something else for Black Panther Party, which was also excellent. And just because we're talking about it, I ended up going and getting waffles today again. I'm like, oh,
they always are so big, fluffy, and so much on them. I'm just always like,
it's a lot. They're good.
Also, to all the people at San Diego Comic-Con who got to meet our friend Rodney Barnes, I'm jealous. He did a lot of signings for Mandalorian, and then he did a horror panel with Nailbiter writer Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder. Speaking of Rodney, we will be next week doing Nita Hawes' Nightmare blog. And we'll have a lot of first-time readers, and we have a very new panel, people that we have not had on before, and friends of the show. We've got Fresh Princess Anika will be joining us.
Ah, yes.
Azores Tiger Eric will be joining us. And from the N Pod, I know you interact with her a lot between your shows. Tara, TN Woolfolk, or Film Noir Girl, she's from the N Pod, will be joining us as well.
Yes.
And possibly Inja Binja, she has not been firm on whether yay or nay. But
well, hopefully it becomes a yay.
I think it was a very good book to have a very varied panel with new people, especially new people to the book who have read Philadelphia. And I feel like this is kind of a different book for us because we're going to be dealing a lot with tragedy and grief.
What?
Also, for those who like, we just were talking before we went on about series that did not get Eisner Awards. And I had talked about Barbalian was one I thought was, and there is one by Shawn Lewis that I think was criminally passed over, and that was Bliss.
Yeah, I agree.
I know the subject matter of it, especially if you have dad issues, is a really rough book to get through, but man, by the time it ended, the conclusion was so heartbreaking yet made you feel, and then there was notes in the back about his relationship with his father where you're like, okay, I know where this is all coming from. Check out that book if you haven't. I know it's a weird recommendation to make with Swamp Thing, but
kind of, but I see it, it's there.
So without further ado, Gambit's probably going to be about another 10 minutes. The first issue, Saga of the Swamp Thing 28 in this read through, it is Swamp Thing digging in the dirt. And yes, I immediately started thinking of the Peter Gabriel song, Digging in the Dirt, Finding the Places Where I Got Hurt. And it's called The Burial. It has a fill-in artist, Shawn McManus, which we found out from Neil Gaiman spilling some tea that, the reasons why there were some fill-in artists.
Yeah, and it's funny that to me, it felt like Neil Gaiman was spilling the tea, as it were, or like airing out the dirty laundry, because like, how would Neil Gaiman know? Like that it was, I don't know. So Neil Gaiman does go on to say in the introduction, hey, we get a different artist, but either the series suffers from delays or they suffer from
delays were death back then. Delays were death for your book.
But it's funny how things how much they have changed, but how much they have stayed the same.
I also want to shout out, because I think the editor deserves so much praise for a lot of this, and that would be Karen Berger, who probably fought tooth and nail for a lot of this stuff, and especially that led to us getting what we have is Vertigo, that later became Black Label. She has her own Berger books now. And she's the architect of everything we know. And she, I want to say there wasn't very many like powerful female editors back then. I think it was Karen Berger, and they had Jeanette Kahn was the vice president of DC at the time.
I think that there was maybe like one or two people at Marvel. But since we're talking about women on the creative teams, like there's just a stunning lack of women in general on the creative teams, with the exception. And one of the things that I wanted to shout out in this book is Tatjana Wood's on colors. Like her colors are absolutely fantastic. But when I think about, I was just having a conversation with Katie, the owner of Books of Pictures, a couple weeks ago about all of these women, like Mary Severin, Tatjana Wood. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm missing a ton.
The original Wonder Woman artist, or one of the originals. Oh my God, I can't remember her name. I feel horrible for.
Yeah.
Gambit, you don't know this off the top of your head. I'm thinking, wow, they are feeling super bad because they can't remember this name, and I'm drawing a blank. I think blanker than them. I suck. I know.
But, anyways, I agree. I think that there was not a lot of female editorial.
Trina Robbins,
thank you. And so they the women end up being in the background a little bit, but very, very, very important, especially, like you said, the way that Karen Berger she is Vertigo. Like, she's the reason why we have Sandman, Swamp Thing, all of these great things. So.
And Tatjana's colors, like, it fits the art so well. And I'd love to know her story, how she got involved in this, because they really don't, in all these forewords, do not talk about her barely at all.
She started off as from what I remember, the little bit of research that I can do, she started off as like a clothing designer, I think, and ended up doing colors. Her husband was Wally Wood. So I don't know if that's how she got the kind of introduction into maybe doing comics in general. But that seems to be all that I know. Wally Wood has passed, but Tatjana Wood, I believe, is in her 90s and still alive.
Let's get her on the show.
Let's get her on the show. We know that you're watching. We know that you are great with technology.
It's the interesting things because, like, Amanda Connor's intro into the industry was she was a basically model for Frank Miller for Elektra, and I think she was his intern and did the posing and stuff. And Bill Sienkiewicz would come in and do designs from her posing for Elektra Assassin.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because all the New York people were kind of like clumped together, so it was like Sienkiewicz, Miller, Amanda Connor was living there, Palmiotti. I mean, that was before Palmiotti because him and Quesada kind of came up together. And Palmiotti's neighbor was Dan Didio.
Yeah, they were all close to each other.
It's weird, the little clumping of groups.
Yep. It's interesting.
This volume is a lot more action-packed than the last volume.
Yeah, and maybe more consistent. Like, I think that Swamp Thing was trying to... This one still does it. This volume, the issues in it are still kind of guilty of being a little bit all over the place, but more so less so than the first one.
So this fill-in issue for 28, it's obvious because while McManus does a nice job of filling in, his facial gestures for Abby in particular, not grand.
Yeah. Which one was that one?
It's the first issue of the volume 2. It was called The Burial. And there's a page in particular gave her a very cherub-like face.
It was a style.
Yeah, like I said, like this dude probably was let to know that he had to do this book last minute. Probably. And they're like, hey, this is your tryout. Crank this. You need to do 28 pages. Crank it out.
Listen, I finished last week. I finished 8 pages in 5 days. Fully colored pages, okay? Drawn, ink, and color. 8 pages, 5 days. I don't know how I did it. I think I'm dead. You know, my body just doesn't know it yet.
You gotta have a poster of Jack Kirby saying "draw." Listen, fucko, I did 8 pages a day.
Yeah,
that's all I could think of. You know, it's like, man, how did he do that?
You're like, comics aren't breaking my heart; they're breaking my hand and my eyes.
They're breaking my everything. Jesus.
Yeah, your back, neck.
There's an artist who he said now because of his body, he can't sit down and draw. He has to standing table now. Yeah, it was hurting his back so much.
Yeah, I use a standing table when I'm in the studio. I draw. I'm standing up. If I'm not tattooing, I'm standing up. And sometimes, like today, the last part of the tattoo was the top of the shoulder, so I did it standing up. I try to do as much as I can standing up, and because when I sit down, I immediately go like and hunch over like a shrimp.
Yeah,
you know, it's not.
Also, like, weird Comic-Con announcement. I'm sorry, this is like off topic, and then this is totally our brand. I kind of love seeing McFarlane, Capullo, and Jim Lee together.
For real,
they're doing that Batman Spawn book.
I got giggles. Not gonna lie, I legit got giggles. My 16-year-old self was like screaming internally.
Okay, so back to the book. Swamp Thing is being haunted by the ghost of Alec Holland. It's kind of like a stir of echoes thing where he keeps turning around and he's seeing Alec Holland.
Bro, I would have lost my shit.
And he's like, it feels like he's talking with the ghost too, but
yeah,
like the ghost is will be there and then he's not, and then he's navigating like step by step. This is what I did the night of,
and then he's snapping because like. She keeps going, Alec, what? Did you see something? Or, don't keep calling me Alec. Knock it off.
Alec.
That's my dead name.
Yeah.
Would it be considered his dead name?
I mean, if it's a name he doesn't want to be referred to. But I think later on in the story, he's okay with that. But I think it's because he did more like soul searching on, or like later on, he kind of goes back and he's like, I am, but I'm not. But I am, and then spoiler alert, in another issue he meets the other Swamp Thing.
Yes.
So like, yeah.
So like he kind of storms off, and we go back to him digging up this. He's digging a hole, and you're like,
wait, we're reading volume 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a spoiler. There's a part where he's talking to Alec.
Yes. Yes.
So
there's several parts where he's talking to Alec.
Yes, but he goes to heaven, and he actually
it's not even heaven. It's not even heaven.
Yeah, that place that they go to.
Yeah.
And he talks to not himself. He talks to Alec. It is to my understanding that he is not Alec. He's Swamp Thing.
He refers to himself at one point. He goes, "I'm Swamp Thing." Yeah, that's what I am.
Yeah, and at some point she calls him Alec. I know that later on she calls him Alec, and he said, and she realizes that, oh shit, you don't like to be called that. And he said, no, it's okay. But yeah, I mean, he had already gone to hell and back for her, literally. So of course he's gonna let her call her whatever. You can call me whatever the fuck you want, babe. I don't care. Call me whatever.
So most of this issue was telling the origin again from how it started with different from the House of Secrets one, but how they redid it for this run.
It was like another narration of it, or it felt like, I don't know if you would call it like the same. It's basically the same book and the same story, but it felt like from maybe a different perspective.
Yeah, it's walking through ghosts of his past, basically, and kind of having to live through it. And he's like, the one point where he's on the ground, he's like, Holland, wake up, you gotta wake up. He's like, no, just run. And then seeing him come back as Swamp Thing, and they said it took hours. Which I thought was interesting, and the Swamp Thing that can't talk, like going to shake his hand, and then kind of pointing him, telling him where the bones are, and him coming to peace by basically burying himself or an aspect of himself, and it was kind of like making peace with his past.
Yes,
and I thought this was an interesting issue. Again, the art's a little off, and
really, I think it was an improvement from the first trade.
Well, this first issue was a fill-in artist.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Okay, that's what's up.
So it's a little bit off, but it's still
That's right.
It's kind of in the vein, and he tears off a piece of himself to make a grave marker, and they show the ghost kind of smile and then disappear. And the last lines are, he's there. I know that he is there, and I know that he is smiling, but I don't look back. So it was a good, come back to what's going on, and kind of has that whole Stan Lee thing of every issue might be someone's first issue. So, you like to fill in the blanks.
I think it's a nice kind of a nice recap, in case you just started reading something back then, and at this issue, you had just maybe you missed the whole 6 issues before, that whole storyline. So this is kind of like a nice recap, like previously, and continuing, a nice jumping point for people. I feel like if I would have read this book before I read the first one, I wouldn't have felt as lost at all,
Yeah, that's true.
The next issue is issue 29. The first issue, as we discussed before you came on, they got rid of the Comic Code Authority on this issue.
Oh shit! I did not notice that.
Neil Gaiman had a foreword in this.
I haven't. I usually read the forewords and introductions at the end after reading the book.
This issue was kind of like painful,
yes.
Because Abby's talking about her husband Matt Cable, who hasn't had a job, and then he's like, surprise, bitch, I've got a job and a house for you. And yeah, it gave me.
Before they get there, they show her like naked. She scrubbed herself, trying to get the filth and scent off of her.
Because as we find out, her husband isn't really her husband. It's this like reanimated corpse.
Possessed, maybe?
Possessed
by her dead uncle.
Mhm.
Dead demon uncle.
Yeah. Which I feel like there is a lot of stuff in these issues here particularly that end up playing a role in like later arcs, because when we learn more about like Abby's past and like how she has this like maybe spiritual, spoiler alert, like kind of spiritual connection, and like I don't know, we'll find out more about that. And then anyways, the last issue, there's some like hanky panky with Swamp Thing that I don't know, I just feel like there's a lot of stuff that comes up later.
Yeah, and this one she shows up.
It's a trippy hanky panky, by the way. It's really trippy hanky panky.
She's apologizing for calling him Alec, and he goes, Abby, it doesn't matter. Not anymore. You can call me Alec if it's easier. And she's like, I can? Can I? Oh, God, I thought you hated me. I thought you just, when things were going right for me, I was going to lose you. Oh, Alec. And then they have a hug, and she's like, he smells so good.
I bet he smells like
lilac
or some shit like that.
Who, Swamp Thing?
Yeah.
In the last issue,
we find out his lips taste like lime.
Like, well, because he can make them taste like lime. He's like, oh, I heard bitches like lime. I'll make these lips taste like lime. But then when he gives her the magic like LSD tuber, it's like it smells like cardamom, is what she says that it smells and tastes like. Spicy sweet.
Take a shot of tequila and then kiss me. Nah.
Yeah. But in this, the issue where issue 29, where we see the people end up getting reanimated, because that's whenever what's his name is like, oh, I got a job. She finds out that the job is actually with this like science company. And they restoration, and it gave me Reanimator vibes and corporations, and then it also gave this issue particular, because then is it this issue or maybe it's like one of the following ones where it's like all of the people who have serial killer tendencies end up getting possessed and then going to Louisiana, like they start making their way there. Reminded me of an issue of Sandman, since I'm rereading it with JP Budget Collecting. It's like there's the serial killer convention, like that's what that reminded me of. So anyways, go
on. So she goes to his work and starts introducing all these people, and she starts seeing them as zombies at one point, or the dead, and then it flashes back to them being normal. And then she's like, she met Sally Parks, whose name sounded familiar. And, Mark Newell, a pretty office junior who blushed when he shook her hand. It's like the whole sick crew. She goes and makes love to her husband.
Yeah, who's like
uncle.
Whose spoiler alert isn't actually her husband. And that's why we find her basically trying to scrub her body and her skin off. She can't get clean. She's used up all of her soap and shampoo, and like a scrubbing tool, she has literally like scrubbed herself to near death, trying to get this stink and this smell.
Poor thing.
She goes to the library and finds a book about Sally Parks, Deadlier Than the Male. And Sally Parks was a serial killer, and there is a picture in there of Ellen Moore, Totleben, and Bissette carrying her body in the book, which I thought that was very like inside stuff. She starts kind of putting the math together, same as like Swamp Thing. He's like, the dead bird's moving, and he picks up the dead bird, and bugs start coming out of it.
Why is it moving? Oh, it's all them dead bugs.
Them bugs.
And then we see her scrubbing and like ripping her clothes off, trying to burn it. She's got rubbed herself so hard that she has like sores on her arm. And then Uncle Husband comes home.
Uncle Husband.
And he's basically having that.
That shouldn't be that funny.
Say it. You're Uncle Arcane. And then there's
really
a splash page, which shows like how she last knew him. In the background. Colors are amazing on this, by the way.
Yes, I wanted to comment on that. This book, it's so vibrant compared to the one before. This one is so bright and so I love it.
I think that's part of the artist kind of finding their groove too with what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can tell by reading this one that I was reading this one and at some point I was like, wow, this is so early in Alan Moore's career and he was already this fucking good, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and by these issues he was they were already comfortable with what they were doing, and you can tell that they were comfortable making this book.
Yeah, I think part of that is because not necessarily here where he's learning the rules, because when I think this still has that pace of the House of Mystery, House of Secrets type and just horror comics vibe. But then I feel like he is just adding the special something that makes it even better. But then I think about his other works like Watchmen, which just end up being genre defying, completely changing the industry. So I feel I don't know, there's that blend of he's such a craftsman that he's making the rules as he goes along, but then is also breaking them.
It's also things that scared him in his own life. He hated bugs. So also we'll go to things that would drive editors crazy. That kind of panel. Which, J.H. Williams has made a career on just breaking the panel rules. And just there's one with in Shreveport, the cat spook decides that their son Ricky's crib is a warm place to sit. And the dog that's attacking the woman, the cow that's giving birth, and something terrible is born that cries like a woman and then dies.
Okay, so I found that description terrifying for some reason, because if I'm in a farm and my cow is giving birth to something that cries like a woman and then dies, I would shit my pants right there.
And Alan Moore is just eating breakfast, sipping tea, going, I'm thinking that
it's this is what I'm going to write for this panel.
I conjured this the other day. I kind of like the way they show Arcane escaping from hell as well.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yep. With serial killers basically grabbing to his spirit as it's escaping.
Yes. It's a really trippy issue.
And he's just she's like, you took Matt's body, made him into a monster, and he's like, oh, nah, your grasp of the inhuman is so limited and shallow. You spare yourself the fullest horror. Long before he loaned his flesh to me, Matthew Joseph Cable was no stranger to monstrosity. With him, it was a monstrosity of lust, of aberrations nurtured and weakness indulged. And he's had these powers. Trout-skinned women with the luster of neon, women of smoke, mannequins textured like apricots. Matt had some kink, I guess. Funny enough, though, Matthew Cable ends up in Sandman. He is Matthew the Raven. So it crosses over.
And that and Cain and Abel show up in one of the issues too.
Yes,
and
very much.
Thinking, and as I was reading this before because I'm not thinking that this is the Raven, But before I saw the two brothers, I was thinking that, man, this reading this, it's making me feel like I felt when I was reading Sandman for the first time, because I've never read this past the first volume, so all this is new to me. So I was like thinking, like, man, this is making me feel as I felt when I read Sandman the first time. It's like right there with that Sandman series.
Very much so, and Neil Gaiman was heavily influenced by this series. It basically got him back into comics, that it could be a form of art,
yes,
and literature. And I mean, he's said many times that the thing about Alan Moore is he's a genius, and I don't think people understand that.
I agree. I totally agree. And I've said I have this when I was really into, as I became an adult and I was able to buy things that I wanted to try because I was making my own money. I didn't have to, like, whatever little money I made, save it just to buy X-Men. Now I could buy other stuff. So I was rediscovering or reading these writers and books that I didn't have the chance to read before. And I was really into Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman at the time. And I was talking to a friend, and I always said that Neil Gaiman knows where the door to the magic realm is. He knows that secret. That's why he writes the way he writes. That he knows where that door is, and he goes and visits often. And he goes there, and he gets inspired, and he comes back, and he writes magnificent stories. And Alan Moore is really, 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 really fucking old. He's been around for a really fucking long time, and that's why he writes the way he writes. And I'm
not smart at
convinced,
business.
and yes, and I'm convinced that he was around when the Jack the Ripper murders happened, and he has the proof and his compendium and everything. He just
from hell.
He just knew it, and he was like, okay, so this is all the things that I need to prove that this happened, and people are going to think I'm writing fiction, and he's just telling the story as he remembered it back then.
He thinks so outside of the box, and I think it took a long time for people to kind of catch up, but I still get irritated when people talk about Watchmen endlessly. I'm like, but what about Swamp Thing? What about Promethea?
I haven't read Promethea.
Promethea is his take on Wonder Woman.
Yes.
And I would say Promethea feels like Alan Moore and Neil Gaiman together, because there's so much like mythology in it. Yeah.
And J.H. Williams' art in it is, I think it's one of his first projects. And this was him breaking every panel rule known to man.
I envy artists that can break those panel rules, that they can just think they think those panels are alive. My panels are like, no, there's just, it's like watching Clerks, just one camera angle, and that's all all you get.
But I think it was also like Jim Lee was like, I got Alan Moore as part of Wildstorm in this little imprint, like, do whatever the fuck you guys want.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that they are open, and they are open enough to, they know how to appreciate art, and they're not going to tell an artist not to be creative. That's stupid, It's like, yeah.
I also think about, like, back then, the relationship between writers and artists, and how, like, you really had to trust your artist. And when you get work done with, like, every month you're popping out an issue, like, you don't, if you're working with an artist who has digital work, and now, a writer could, you could just send your artwork digitally to someone and they get it within seconds. But back then they didn't have that.
FedEx.
Like that FedEx, and it's like, it's still over, maybe overnight, but it's going to take a while, and like you have to go to the office and get it, and like the relationship that you have to have with your artist, and it has to be like full trust.
Yes.
With that relationship. Not that people don't have that now, but yeah.
Well, I think that's what I really appreciate with like Bendis and Bagley on Ultimate Spider-Man. Like, to be able to have done 100 issues as a team is insane right now, and not miss a deadline, not miss one.
Yeah, that was insane.
Yeah, but Bagley is a machine. Like he's got a very, it's not a detailed art form, but he can crank it out.
Yeah, and he's really consistent in his work. His work, you see it, and you know.
Yes. And then, you know, like what Rodney and Jason Shawn Alexander have been able to do, where Jason's missed no issues, and Fiona, like, they took a break for her childbirth and everything on Saga. And listen, like, I think it was good because she probably needed to recharge her batteries after all of that, plus, you know, probably a couple of months to get able to do work again.
But now we're going on another like 7-month hiatus.
Oh my God.
For Saga. So,
but did they at least finish a storyline? Like, did they give us at least a whole trade paperback? Okay, cool. Yeah. Jesus, because I was done. If you would have said no, we're gonna take a break for the last issue, but to then take another break, I don't care anymore.
But I also think like artist burnout is incredibly real.
Oh, dude, I'm right. I am right there right now, like for real.
The last time Jen and I talked to Rodney, he was like, "Man, I'm afraid Jason's gonna leave me." Like, no, like it was like heartfelt. He's like, he's too good. He's gonna leave me, and I'm gonna be fucked.
Well, I saw today. Was it today or yesterday that Jason Shawn Alexander was basically saying like, "Hey y'all, it's been fun in San Diego, but I've literally got to leave because I have a deadline to meet." So it sounds like he was skipping one of the big reasons why, like a lot of all of that. What is it? Elbow.
Yeah. The touching elbows.
Yeah, touching elbows with other people. That's to me, I think, the main reason to go to places
it's
like
networking.
Networking, exactly.
Of course, networking.
But
that's why I go to a convention to network.
So the Blackula book comes out in 2 months, 3 months. It hasn't been solicited in previews yet, but it's supposed to be out by October.
It should have been solicited already, no?
Not for October. It would be in the August issue of previews. But they put out, Rodney dropped some art from it and Jason dropped some art from it. I'm intrigued.
So he's gonna be drawing both books?
Yes.
That's insane.
Well, no, it's an OGN for Blackula, but Rodney has called it the best art he's ever seen out of Jason, which
is still insane.
So Nita Hawes, the big thing is he did the covers, Jason, but he was the art director, and he found 3 people who can imitate his art. So if need be, there's fill-in artists ready to go.
There's some
ready to go. Let me see right here.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Nightmare. What is that?
It's the book we're doing next week.
Nita Hawes Nightmare blog.
Yeah, the book
That's the book we're doing next week.
Yeah.
Nita Hawes Nightmare blog.
Which,
you're right.
The Fire Next Time, which Rodney Barnes, I'm coming for you because you keep saying that your books aren't political, but then you name your book The Fire Next Time, which is James Baldwin, which was a queer black man in the 60s writing about politics and shit. So it's politics.
Which, now that you say Jason's up against a deadline, I got a feeling I'm not going to be able to get him for the next stream we do with Rodney.
We'll see. Maybe he'll have.
I really want to hear those two
trying to meet. That's the deadline.
I want those two bickering like a married couple on the show. Jason's also very open about like he will drop edibles whenever and wherever, and he is super political. So like it's gonna be Jen's spirit animal.
Yeah.
Which you'll get to meet him at Rose City.
Yeah. Yep. I'm hoping that Rodney Barnes also is there because. Yes.
Yeah, well, I already got a picture with him in Moonlit, with him saying, "Tell Dan that we met and he's jealous."
Well, I'm gonna take one with Rodney and Jason and be like, "We're best buds." and then
So-
probably get kicked out of Rose City.
No, you'll end up drinking with Rodney. That'd be horrible. Though you're just like, we got kicked out, y'all. So I don't understand why Arcane takes his shirt off.
Why not?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's just like, yep. I turned into a fly and went right into his mouth and possessed him. Take off my shirt now.
That's how you do it. That's a vulgar display of power right there.
He's like, thus your husband's shell is mine to wear, and your husband's talent's mine to employ. I am Arcane.
If I remember, I mean, doesn't he have like lesions on his body or something like that? So maybe
Yes.
it was
Yeah.
an artistic an artistic rendering to be like, look at this horrific shit that we can do. Like, look at like the skin melting off, because you can't really see that if there's a shirt on unless you have the shirt melting off. Or maybe that's just what happened. The shirt melted off.
Oh no, he ripped it off.
He took it off. He took it off.
But he was like, I am returned from the dead, and there's nothing I can't do. And the returned
So he
man
decided to
smiles
take
and
his
sends her to
shirt off.
hell.
I would have done the same thing. I just returned from the dead. I'm gonna take my shirt off.
Yeah.
So there's a horrific image here of two little girls putting a kitten in the microwave.
Oh my god! I just noticed that.
Yeah, where like that's the it sounds like that was like the spirit that was possessed, am I right? Where
Yes.
they were like
The evil starts kind of
Yeah.
tendencies. Hello, Mr. G. How are you doing, Rob? So thank you for stopping in.
Yes.
hold on.
The little girl.
Yeah,
putting
like-
that cat in the microwave. That's
they're like,
horrible.
"Ah." But the thing that I hate about it though is that these little girls, the conversation that they're having, it's like in Little Rock, Cheryl and Lonnie Williams wait until their father and their slutty new stepmother are
Yes.
playing with the cat, and I'm like, whoa, don't bring sluts into this. Sluts have
No-
nothing to do with this.
Plus, little girl slut shaming. Like, what's up
Yeah,
with that?
What? How many like little like 6-year-old girls even have a concept of like what a slut is? I mean, like, thank you to the patriarchy.
And then there is fish eating each other and then themselves.
Yep.
Also, weirdly, there is a crisis on Infinite Earths, like page in here where Harbinger's like, "Phew, there's a lot of wave portraits around the 800s. 800s, let me see. Whew, above 600, we're dealing with power users in the supernatural category. Above 800, dealing with either Trigon or the Spectre." And it's just like, what should we do? We'll watch.
Watch like
I'm not gonna lie, like I got to that and I'm like, why do I not remember this? Like, I remember moments like this in Sandman, but I don't remember it in this. And I'm like, I kept expecting them to come back in these issues in this, and they really don't.
It kind of did, but like for like a minute.
Yeah.
He's just the super voyeur. The Arkham stuff with Woodrue going, the bayou, coming out of the bayou.
yeah. Losing it. I like that they managed to squeeze in a Joker there, not laughing.
Yeah, like they were like, what's wrong? The Joker's not laughing. And he's just drooling on himself.
Yeah.
That is creepy.
And one of my favorite panels.
Oh yeah, I was gonna comment
The
on
snow.
that. Yes. Yeah. That's a great page.
I'm not sure if that's Bissette or Totleben on that one.
Which issue is this one?
Oh, Moore's interviews are always fascinating, especially when he started telling everybody that he was a magician. Anarchist, magician, vegan. There's that weird meme going around that like your resume.
Oh, I remember how this issue ended now. Yes.
Yes, this
issue one was heavy. That was heavy. I was like, what?
Such great storytelling with no words, though.
Yeah.
But I do love that, like, Swamp Thing is just like, why does one so powerful waste so much time with talk? And all of a sudden he's like, Arcane's like, what? No. I desire to see you dance one final clumsy, desperate waltz. He's like, then kill me now if you can. I will not dance for you. I have Abigail. footsteps.
Oh, yeah. It's like touche. You know that those next few pages when he's walking
I love
to
it.
the house.
There's not a lot of words.
Yeah. I love
And
that.
The art tells the story for
Yeah.
you.
Those next 3 pages of him just walking in, and I can hear those pages. You know, I can
They
hear
do
those.
put
I
a
can
little
hear
bit
those pages.
the creak, and then you hear
Yeah,
crack
yeah.
as he's walking. And this panel in
So good.
particular,
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
where he goes to the bed, picks her up, and then he's like, "How long has she been dead?"
Yeah, I was not
And
expecting that. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, what?
it's just so good. The storytelling in it.
It's such a beautiful page. The whole page, like not just that panel, the whole page is really, really well done. It's really beautiful.
And then the next issue starts with, "I close my eyes and she is alive in the private night behind my eyelids, the smell of her skin in the diluted autumn sunlight, the fine white hairs upon her neck, upon her arms. And then I open my eyes and Abby is still dead."
Dead.
It's can you show that again?
Yep.
So
There
like you
is
see him like carrying her, and then thinking, "Oh, she's still dead."
there's a beautiful poetry to this. And I think people don't think that Swamp Thing could be a romance book. It's a
But it
gothic
is.
horror romance book.
100%.
Yep.
Like I don't
Better
know
than
if I said it.
Twilight. Less
Better
better
than
soundtrack.
Twilight. better than like any romance that, I don't know, supposedly Batman and Catwoman have together, Batman and Talia, any of that. Like Swamp Thing and Abby is like the love story.
That is the love story.
And there's dialogue going on, like, "Behind me the laughter of my enemy rattling in another man's throat. His creatures swarm about us, coagulating from the tainted air. She must not remain in this place. His presence corrupts its timbers. The walls are sodden with his vileness. To think I mourned him once when he was dead. One final clumsy, desperate waltz. That is what he promised. Beneath my fingertips the banister becomes a rib cage, raw and exposed. I stumble through the crooked house, her cold, still weight crushed to my breast. She must not remain in this place, no matter how grotesque or our quadrille may become." I love it.
It's beautiful. Like you can tell that it's a love that is not, obviously it's not sexual in nature yet, but it's not like based on necessarily like attraction or anything like that. There's a moment where, or like later on in this issue,
An adoration, I would say, mostly.
Yeah. Yep. So he's basically like battling. What's his name? Matt Cable.
Arcane.
Arcane.
Marcane. I don't know. Matt Kane.
Mark Cabelane. And he's basically like, you are in. Cable Arcane is basically telling Swamp Thing, like, you're in my world now. Like I brought you here. You're in my world now. And there is this like epic moment, which is my favorite part of this issue, where Swamp Thing basically says to him, he uses the line from Watchmen, "I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me." Is
yes.
Swamp
I'm not the same. I'm not the same Swamp Thing.
Yeah, and he says, and you should not have come here. Basically, I'm in my place of power. So Swamp Thing is like I said, he's like, "I'm not in here with you. You're in here with me, mister."
Beats the
Also,
shit out of him.
The monitor shows up again weirdly. It's like,
for like one page.
I'm attempting to suppress the first time in my life the uncontrollable urge to look away.
Oh my god.
Like, look away, bitch, if you're not going to do anything.
Right?
But
yes.
Stop being a weird peeping Tom.
But I love where, like, Arcane's like, you hurt me, but you have no magic. You're some elemental, aren't you? And he's just like, yeah, I am.
Well,
You have never encountered me before. This is our first battle. And he starts like just beating him, like, how dare you?
Beat the shit out of him, like.
And then like the dead bodies start bleeding randomly.
Yeah.
And I just kind of liked it. And Matt kind of awakens, and he was like, remember the car crash? The only power that keeps this body alive. Cable, you fool, you'll kill us both. And he's like, good, we both deserve it, just as long as I get to send you where you sent my wife. And then I close my eyes, look away. Behind my eyelids in the private night, I hear the scream of my enemy. He is falling, his unclean spirit too torn, too battered to resist that terrible gravity. And in his eyes, the dreadful knowledge, the knowledge of what waits for him below. And then he was gone, and there is only Matt.
Matt.
And then Matt tries to make good. He uses what little life and power he has. He fixes his wife's body, but unfortunately he can't reach her soul.
Because he's cast out her soul.
Yes.
Thrown it somewhere.
Yeah, those panels were really nice. Those two panels in that page when they're very close to each other and you see those tentacles grabbing her arm and pulling her back back down, and you see in between there's a hopeful Swamp Thing, and he's like, oh, so excited, you know. And then blah, dead.
And it reminded me of Ben Grimm, The Thing.
Yeah.
There
were some older images of him where, you know, he thought he was going to become human, and then he, you know, I think it's If This Man a Monster.
Poor thing.
And then on the next page, we've got two cops, and one of them that's Neil Gaiman, right? Like, that's Neil Gaiman.
It seems too soon to be Neil Gaiman, but maybe. Also, I didn't like the fact he's like, all that stuff about women with holes in their heads, a fruitcake.
A fruitcake, yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
that would not fly today. So
Mm.
much of this wouldn't fly today.
No. But he grabs her. He's like, she lies where I left her. She breathes. Her heart beats. But a woman is not a woman. A breath is not Abby. Her breast moves, but it is empty. There is no one there. The tears come. I close my eyes. And when I open them, Abby is still dead.
Dead. No, but that last page, oh my god, that last page.
What a beautiful end to this issue.
Yes.
Of the monster carrying his love. And again, like, I know everybody jokes, oh, well, Swamp Thing can't be in love. It's a monster. This is the best romance in comics. Not even Tom King could fuck this up.
I don't say that.
Yeah, I'm ready.
No, he wrote one issue of Swamp Thing.
To fuck it up.
So I'm still Rodney Barnes. Give him one of those Black Label oversized magazine size ones, like 3 issues.
Yeah, but not like Jeff Lemire doing Green Hell or whatever the hell that was.
Yeah,
that wasn't good.
I didn't enjoy it. Other people said they did, but
I love the art. But I love Francesco Francavilla. Especially shout out to Afterlife with Archie. Like, come back, please.
right. I know you're watching. Now I'm gonna say the same thing Jennifer does. I know you're watching.
No, I've messaged him quite a few times, like, what's going on? He's like, I don't get scripts. So the other guys moved on to writing Riverdale.
So sad.
Yes. So the next issue is Swamp Thing Annual 2, which I look at the price of it, and this is a double size, $1.25.
$1.25 in 1985.
And I remember as a comic reader bitching at, I think, 1989, 1990 when it went up to $1, going,
yep,
man, I can't swing this. It's up 25 cents from 75 cents. Like, this is the end of comics. And then $1.25 hit. I was like, this is the end. No one can afford this anymore.
$1.25 is horrible. Now we pay fucking $4.99 an issue. I'm going to go cancel all
most of my image, but like,
I'm gonna go cancel everything tomorrow. Fuck it.
I want to go back and be like, kid, I got bad news for you.
Yeah. You can't wait until it goes back to $1.25. Let's bring back a $1.25 comic.
I'm gonna travel back in time and introduce myself to drugs instead of comic books.
Yeah, it'll be cheaper.
Well, no, I'll be like, all right, kid. First, Deadpool's gonna be a movie one day.
Save that
whole
fucking
newsstand
issue
of New Mutants '98. Just grab them all.
Save that issue.
Amazing Spider-Man 300. You won't understand why, but just grab them all.
And you know what? The prices for stuff like the first X-Men and Daredevil, it may seem kind of high. You may be paying a couple $100 for each of those. Just go ahead and grab them all.
Go ahead.
Your mom's gonna hate you for a while with this shit. And also, like, bag and boredom. I know that's not a thing you think about at this time, but just when you're heading up to that little place in Long Island, just go ahead, ask them. I'd have a lot of like conversations. Like, there's a book. It's called Sandman that's gonna come out like shortly after you like start almost going through puberty. Go pick up the first 8 issues.
Right.
Speaking of which, today I stopped by my regular comic shop, Books with Pictures, who is Eisner Award winning. But anyways, I went to another shop today that's kind of like a couple blocks that I don't really go to, and they had a copy of Sandman number 8, and for like $70.
What?
And I almost bought it, but it was just in terrible condition. But I'm still thinking to myself, like, should I?
Is it how bad of a condition though?
What am I trying to say? Like around
off-white?
here, it's not that it was off white. It was like peeling on the bottom. Like you could see that there were a couple of creases that there were color breaks in like the spine ticks, but they had maybe been like flattened out, but the spine tick was still there.
It's been read many times. It's been read many times.
So
I mean, I don't know. I reading Kobe for $70. I think it's.
You got trades.
I already have a copy, so yeah. I know that like there's going to be someone who goes in the shop who is like, you know what, that's my favorite comic.
That is true. I mean, I probably would have bought it if I didn't have a copy ready. I'd probably be like, I'm gonna send you the $70 right now through PayPal. Go get that shit for me tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jen, I also have other weird news because it's a show we have to talk about. 2 years ago today, we did our Dune trailer live reaction.
Oh my god!
Oh wow!
It's really been 2 years since the Dune trailer.
Yeah. And soon they started filming Dune Part 2. We're doing another trailer.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel like I feel like the second Dune movie is gonna do all right. I don't think it's gonna do well enough
to make a third one.
Inspire to do the rest of the series.
But we'll have one solid 2-part good movie.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah. But I don't think that we're gonna see Dune Messiah or Children of Dune anytime.
He wants to do Dune Messiah. He said Children of Dune, probably not. He wants to finish the Saga of Paul. Could happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Also, thank you, Robert.
Oh, that's so cool.
1st of August. Oh, cool.
I said hi. Tell Bueller I said hello.
Robert, if you ever want to come on for one of our book clubs, please go ahead and shout us out. You have open invite, or even my movie show with Carlito. We're doing all 80s next Friday.
Ooh.
The entire 80s, year by year, looking at our favorite movies. I will be drunk probably by a half hour in, probably.
When is
I'm
the
hearing
show?
Weird cinema, celluloid and scotch with Carlito. It's my movie show. It's just the way out there, really hard. Yeah, I get it, Robert. I'm happy with what we got with Dune, the movie. Like, I really am. And we'll have the books. Eventually, we'll get to God Emperor of Dune and Chair Dogs and
Heretics.
Scott seems all in on it. I just like that Sid was like not answering anything about that.
But anyways, this Swamp Thing annual issue number 2.
125.
This issue, sorry,
It is
like
the
this
most
issue.
beautiful issue.
Yeah.
A love where you go to hell.
Yeah. He. This is when he goes to hell. This is really cool. I like that he
Yes.
just lays down next to her,
Can you show that?
and you see the yes. Look at that page, man.
It's
The
Sleeping
art,
Beauty.
the
Yeah.
art in this volume. Oh my god. And the colors, I keep coming back to mentioning the colors. It's just so vibrant.
And this was on the inferior paper back then. Please remember, it was on the inferior paper.
Yes.
One of the things that, like, yes, he there's some really like personal moments with Swamp Thing, and like reading this is like 100% why I'm like, I feel like Rodney Barnes needs to do Swamp Thing, is because there's so many moments in here when Swamp Thing goes to heaven, hell, purgatory. Whatever it is. And like there's one where this woman got into a car crash.
Yes, with her
Swamp Thing
son.
meets her, and then she's like, wait, shit, I just got into a car crash, I think. Where's my son at? My son should be here, but I don't. Do you know where he's at? And then like all of a sudden the son comes up and he's like, it's okay. Like I know Rodney Barnes is going to write like whatever modern version of that is going to be. I know he would write that for Swamp Thing again.
So a thing we got from one of our interviews for Philadelphia Volume 2, Seesaw goes to hell, basically, to meet a demon. And Rodney had told Jason Shawn Alexander, I want you to do the best John Totleben of the hell from this annual. And he did. I like that, like, Swamp Thing's just like, I managed to go to the green. I can do shit. Like, I'm just going to lay down and see what happens. Yes.
Yeah.
That page. Oh, look at that page.
The page where they're actually in the face of the Spectre, and then we have Boston Brand, Dead Man. Yes. Can you show that again real quick?
Yeah. I'm gonna admit, so like one of my like blind spots with DC is stuff like Dead Man. And Dead Man appears here, and it feels like there was maybe a contract or something where it was like, you need to introduce a DC character into the book every so many pages. You haven't really done it in a couple issues. We need you to remind readers that this is a DC book. Like, we need you, anyways. So it just, there's parts of it where I get it, but then there's parts of it where I'm like, why the fuck is Dead Man here?
Yeah,
I think
it's exactly that. It's exactly
it might have been
that.
more just kind of been like, I kind of like this character. Like, I'm gonna put him here because he's,
It could be also that. But I know that, for example, in the first Sandman, in the first trade Sandman, he had to put Superman in the book somehow.
Yeah.
He had to. DC said you have to put Superman in the book in order to guarantee a sale, and he put Superman, but he put it in his way. Hey, you have a panel with Superman. That's it. Superman is in the book. Haha.
Well, when we talked to Steve Orlando when he did that Justice League book, where he's like, yeah, they made me have to have Lobo in the group.
I also feel that way about the current run of Swamp Thing, where right after, because the original run was only supposed to be 8 issues, and then it got extended to 12. And all of a sudden at like this 8-issue mark, we have Peacemaker, and like we've got the Peacemaker show going on. And so it really felt like Rom V was told, like his hand was being held while he was writing, like, you've got to put Peacemaker in. The last issue had Green Lantern. And then we had the Flash, and so it feels a little bit forced that way.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that even though I love Rom V's run, and I obviously love this, I wish that it could be standalone, and like, don't remind me that it's a DC book.
Also, like, Phantom Stranger is one of those characters that I've never gravitated to. Like, I just don't know enough about him. Like,
the first Phantom Stranger book that I read was the New 52 book.
Crisis on Infinite Earths was, I think, my first introduction to him.
The character
Probably
that
the
I
same.
do, sorry, the character that I do appreciate that shows up, because he does show up in Sandman as well, is the demon,
Yes.
Etrigan.
Yes,
Yeah, like
Etrigan.
I actually do appreciate, because to me that makes sense, because I'm like, oh, like he's a like demon. It makes sense in this horror story. I don't need Superman. I don't need anyone else. Just give me weird little horror goblins.
But I like in Purgatory that Swamp Thing meets Alec.
Yes,
And-
that's what I said. Like he meets Alec, and they're not the same dude. You know, they're two different people. There's Alec, and there's the Swamp Thing.
And I think it also does it. Is it the next episode, or maybe it's the one after this? But in the retelling, because the original
the name was different.
Yeah, in the House of Secrets 92, like the name is very different. So the Swamp Thing that we see in House of Secrets 92 isn't technically the Swamp Thing. So I feel like this is Alan Moore, like tying all those loose ends together.
And I like that, like, Swamp Thing kind of freaks out where, like, Alec's there with Linda. And he's like, coming, sweetheart. He's just like,
Yeah.
He's like, I gotta go. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's gonna be awkward. No, I don't want to meet your woman. It's okay. It's fine. This panel cracked me up. This one down. The one. This one.
Oh, yeah, when he... Oh, God. So...
because this Swamp Thing is like...
So in Volume 2 of Philadelphia, they kind of do a take on that where the mayor of Philadelphia is basically getting his dick ripped off by the demon Corson. And Seesaw's like, you're up in here ripping off dicks. I'm just up here asking you, like, what are you doing? And I do like the Swamp Thing is just like, oh,
yeah. It's like, oh shit, is that it? Because he recognizes who that demon is eating. I go like, oh, I put him here. Oh shit.
There's also the thing
I
where
fucked
Phantom
up.
Stranger's like, within this place are creatures that would tear the wings from angels at a moment's respite from boredom. Answer me only once. Do you wish to continue? And he's like, I do. And then the demon shows up.
Yeah.
Because that's right.
And he's not respected very well.
Swamp Thing is like, I am willing to risk it for that biscuit.
Ah! Stop.
I haven't hit it, but I ain't gonna quit it.
Yeah. Yep.
Jesus Christ.
It's a love story.
It is a love story.
Listen, if you're gonna go through hell, like you're looking for something.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, duh.
And this first demon in hell is like the worst nightmare rabbit. I don't even know if it's a rabbit. I don't know what the fuck it is.
That thing is horrible, man. I love it. I want to tattoo it. Like for real.
His name was Muddle Crunch. He's like,
oh my god.
Muddle Crunch, you tumorous excrescence. Have a care. Etrigan's a rhyming demon now, and far above such banter with his kin. Muddle Crunch.
Muddle Crunch and Flutch.
Yes. And it's Sunderland being the demon's bitch and getting his tongue ripped out.
Yep. And something's like
I just like, let us depart. Their worthlessness is clear.
That reaction killed me. I don't know why. I think it's so funny that he reacted that way. It's like, bro, you're just Swamp Thing. What's that?
And then demon, how could God allow such a place? It's like, think you God built this place, wishing man ill and not lusts uncontrolled or swords unsheathed? Not God, my friend. The truths were hideous still. These hills were carved by men, while yet they breathed. God is no parent or policeman, grim, dispensing treats or punishment to all. Each soul climbs or descends by its own whim. He mourns, but he cannot prevent their fall. And to me, that is 100% Alan Moore, like
Right.
giving it. Yes, he's giving his philosophy. And then Arcane's there. And there's one of the great things, like, oh man, like it just keeps hatching bugs in me. And he's like, how many years have I been here? And Swamp Thing's like, it's been a day. Yesterday.
It's
He's just like, what?
I imagine that he has already gone through 1,000 days of torture and punishment, and in reality, it's just been one day. Are you okay,
Also,
Dan?
this one demon with a cat, a lizard, and a baby's head.
Like it, and it's like a green baby thing.
Yeah.
Yes, that is Frankenstein's daughter.
And just Swamp Thing's like, get away! And he's just like wrecking house. He's just, and then they start making fun of Demon. He's like, half a man turned upon his kin, he just burned them.
I mean, Etrigan doesn't play no games, bro.
And weird, like, I know Demon mostly from the Lobo stuff. Which, rest in peace, Alan Grant.
Oh, yes. That sucks. Sad.
So, Alec manages to go back through the other realm. Arcane's head is punted by the demon.
Yep.
Before going through the portal.
Go!
And this page happens.
He's like, ah. Yes.
Yeah. Alec, and just, you know, the expressions, like, he's probably the person she most wanted to see.
And then the next
freezing.
page.
No, this page.
Oh, yes.
You're crying. She asks him, "You're crying?"
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know everything that he just went through to get to her.
And then the next cover, he's wrestling a gator.
He's in Florida, yeah. That's
No, it's Louisiana.
Louisiana.
That's my backyard right there.
This issue was weird, and then I found out it was mostly a tribute to the artist and writer of Pogo, the syndicated comic strip.
Oh.
I am gonna say right here, right now, I kind of don't give a shit. I hated this issue.
This was a flight of fancy, basically. This is like, we gave you a lot of Grimm. I had the same reaction to this, and I read a little bit how this was his tribute to the comic strip Pogo.
I hated this issue so much.
I am not going to lie. I skimmed through this one.
I don't blame you. This was Shawn McManus again as a fill-in issue.
And then at the end, when I reached the end, I said to myself, now you'll see that I didn't read this issue, and they're going to be like that. This is the deepest, most amazing issue in the whole. And I'll be like, God damn!
Hey Rashid, thank you for stopping in.
Hello. I'll be like, I'm not gonna read this issue, and these people are going to be like so into it, like very, you know, it's a whole level of philosophy, and I'll be like, damn it, I missed that.
This next cover is one that confuses people.
Yeah.
The amount of people that have like bought this thinking that it was a totally different book, because it is a take on the House of Secrets.
Yes. I love that cover.
Yeah.
I love that cover.
You know, I would say that if you want to maybe also fool people and be like, yeah, I got Swamp Thing's first appearance, like, go ahead. Buy issue number 33 of Saga of the Swamp Thing.
It's a $55 9.8.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it is very cheap. Actually, all of these, I would say, are completely undervalued except for the first Constantine.
Oh, yeah, because that's like $800 now.
Yeah, because the one Rodney just randomly unboxed in front of us that he picked up on a whim.
Huh.
Oh, he did an unboxing like of what he bought at his comic store the week before when we had him on last time. It's like, oh, first Elektra, Hulk number 4. the first Constantine, he was just like, I'm just trying to read behind my youth. It was easily like, I don't know, $1,500 trip.
Oh, nice.
Because John was like, oh, that's the second Green Hulk. That, like, being on with nerds like us, and like I put up, Jen's flexing.
Oh, there it is.
Just
There
gonna
you
go
go.
ahead and flex
Bam.
a little bit.
Flex it.
The most I've ever spent on a comic book.
Oh,
ever.
Man.
Worth it
Yes.
though.
Yes.
Because I remember there was like Adriana was at a show and she was like holding it and she's like, man, do I want to spend this? And I sent it to Jen. I was like, hey, like this book Adriana's got a hook on. And she's like, ooh, I don't know. And then you went through Rose City and
Yep. My partner.
And then the immediate, like, I just bought the most expensive book of my life.
Yeah, hopefully this is the most expensive book I ever buy, unless I somehow come into a lot of money and end up buying X-Men #1. Like that would be.
You're gonna make. I
Or
want.
would you be more of the giant size X-Men #1?
I want giant size.
X-Men #1. Kirby.
I want giant size X-Men #1. That's my holy grail, and it's so far away right now. So far away now.
What kills me is No Good Comics got his at like a very, very good price because his local comic shop got it. I mean, he still paid a lot, but he got a very good deal on it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, him and John are probably going to be asking you to be on their Omni X-Men at some point, Gambit.
Oh yeah, sure.
They're starting to get into the John Romita years. So they wanted me on for one, and I was like, well, you get to the Gambit-ish episode, you got to ask.
Yeah, I'm down, of course.
So the next issue of Swamp Thing, we have the most Sandman issue of all issues.
Yes.
We know Neil Gaiman was a huge fan of this series, and it influenced him. And we have Cain and Abel meeting Abby in a dream. And there is a panel in particular of Cain that I find glorious of the madness. Right.
Oh yeah.
There. I love it.
That's a great panel. Yeah, it's a great drawing.
Very much so. And then finding out Patton Oswalt's going to be playing Matthew the Raven in the Sandman series, I feel like he should have been Abel.
Oh.
It was a weird thing. Like I saw stuff for that, and then the House of the Dragon, and George R. R. Martin was at the panel. He's like, "Yeah, like I'm not gonna be on the show. Like there's a book that apparently I'm very late on." Glad he can crack jokes about it. It's only been 11 fucking years.
Motherfucker.
Fantastic Four would be a great Grail buy, which apparently they announced that today. They actually have a date for it.
When is it?
2024.
Okay. We'll see if the world is still around.
Yeah, right.
No cast. No. But I recommend everybody watch the trailer for Black Panther 2. It had a lot of emotion, and Namor is going to be a thing for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I saw some pictures of. I mean, I don't know if this is a spoiler or anything, but I saw that it. Can I say it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that it's tied to Mayan culture instead of Atlantis.
I mean, it's still kind of Atlantis, but it's the guy playing Atama is jacked.
Oh, dude, I saw the concept art. I was like, wow.
He's at least 6'7".
Damn.
And he is jacked.
Damn.
Yeah, like Momoa needs to start yoking it up.
Right.
So, and this issue is basically a flashback issue. It's retelling Swamp Thing's origin from, as Obi-Wan would say in Star Wars, a different perspective.
Right, different perspective.
Still pretty good. I think it's a nice reminder of like started from the bottom, now we're here.
And also, it's Bernie Wrightson's art we get to see again.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bless Bernie Wrightson, one of the greatest horror artists of all time.
Yeah.
And it's a retelling, and Alec has a different name. And we find out there have been many Swamp Things.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that cool?
It is. It was, again, like you said, like it's a good way to kind of tie it together that, like, well, in this issue, blah, 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 blah. Like,
Avatar of the
It's
Green.
technically the first issue of Swamp Thing, or the first appearance of Swamp Thing, but it's not the first appearance of Alec Holland as Swamp Thing, or
yes. Also, it was very much like a creep show kind of like issue.
yeah, definitely House of Mystery, House of Secrets type book, but
I do love that Swamp Thing, like the way he's rendered there, and you see his evolution over the years.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Abby's like, but that's Alec's story, just not Alec Olsen or Alex Olsen. He's like, it's the secret you came to learn. And then Kane's like, you know the rules, and now you must pay the forfeit. Someone's got to die. And just beats him to death with a fucking rock.
Yep. Again.
classic.
And you hear the
classic.
crunch. And then she's like, you murdered him, your own brother. He's like, murder? Don't talk to me about murder. I invented it.
Invented murder.
He's like, no biggie.
And for that fat oaf, don't worry about him. He'll be up and about tomorrow, bumbling around just as good as new, at least until the next time. It's our punishment for doing it the first time. We got to keep doing it over and over. And then she gets up. She's like, I got to start writing this down. And then the phone rings and she forgets everything.
Yeah, like her note. If you look at her note, it literally says, I cannot remember the morning walk. I mean, that's like kind of like the poetry throughout here. But yeah, that's literally all that she writes. I cannot remember the morning. What?
I really hope Swamp Thing has like a new comeback, because that CGC I got you for your birthday last year, the anatomy lesson issue. It's so undervalued for doing his origin.
Yeah, because it's also the Floronic Man, first Floronic Man.
Modern, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, did you ever get the framed Batwoman art?
I haven't framed it yet. Not yet.
Oh. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes. Sorry. These were great pinups.
Oh, yes. They're amazing.
Both by Totleben.
I'm telling you, man, the artwork in this volume, it's
You were
everything.
Total side note, David Mack is doing a print sale, and he did a live drawing at San Diego Comic-Con of Dream, and it's $25 for the print, and you get a $5 off coupon.
I think Jim Lee did also, like, during dinner. Did you see that video of him doing the Dream sketch where he's putting glitter and stuff in it? Oh my god.
Oh, jeez.
But I think Nat got me my Tula Lotte death print because she was at Tula Lotte's booth. Okay, does Alan Moore's writing hold up?
100%.
Not sort of, but the way Moore tells it, I think it does. There's certain issues where there's kind of flights of fancy taken, but the meat of the book, when it has to do with Alec and Abby, I feel 100% holds up. Yeah. I haven't reread the later parts of the run in quite a while, so at least the early parts for me do.
Did you all read issue 34?
Of course.
Okay, sorry.
Yes.
It's a great cover.
Great cover, and I do love the Swamp Thing smiling poster. Like,
right?
It just, there's something about it.
He has the same face that the dude that played Falcon has all the time. You know, he has that face that he's like, he has that. It's the same face.
So weirdly, out of all of those movies, the thing that resonates most with me was the one with Falcon and Bucky in that car together, where it's like, can you move the seat up no. Like, is Cap kissing her? Yes. So this is one of those like meet cutes where they're out in the swamp and she's like, "Can I pick your flower?" And I'm just like, there is a lot of there's a lot of
There's a lot of subtext there.
subtext, yes.
Especially when you think about like flowers and their pollen and what the pollen is pollinating. What that
I think I like you best in spring.
and then, Abby's having the conversation with him like, I like you. And
I think I'm ready to move on from my husband. He's in a coma.
Yeah. And she's like, I like you. And then, of course, Swampy is like,
he gets a manga look like crazy with the eye gets the sparkle, and he's like, ooh.
And then he's immediately like, so you like me? Is it gonna be? Not gonna work. And like,
they got the baby birds up in the tree chirping.
Yeah. Do you like lime? Well, I'm gonna make my lips taste like lime.
I like
But
that.
she's like, "You're a plant, for God's sake." Just saying it out loud. I mean, it's just so funny. How could you love me? He goes, deeply, silently, and for too many years. And she's like crying, and she's like, "You never said." He's like, "No, I thought it would frighten you, Abby. What do we do now? I've never kissed you. It would be unpleasant for you." like, Abby, we are so different. And she's just like, "I'm going for it."
Dun, dun, dun.
But they don't. I mean, they do. I guess this would be considered them like.
It's spiritual bonding.
Yeah, it's not. I would say like it's sexual, but it's not. I don't think that they have sex here.
No, not until
Not
another
until
volume or two.
No, but they flirt.
I think that's issue 60 something.
They flirt.
69?
Of
course, it's 69.
I don't know if it is or not.
They flirt. Really
I mean,
hard in
it's
this
canon
issue.
because John Constantine has a Swamp Thing tattoo on his ass after that. True story. Do you like lime? It's
That's
my
my
favorite.
That's
You
going to
want to
be
walk?
line from now on. Do you like?
You want to walk? You want to walk for a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went. There's just a raccoon there, like nom nom nom.
Raccoons are so adorable.
I know, right? With the little tiny hands.
You're human. You need more from love than the taste of lime. You're talking about sex, right? It's like, yeah.
Just cut to the chase, Swamp Thing.
And he's
Right.
like, I'm gonna go out into the swamp for a minute. I'm gonna grow something out of my chest, and I'm gonna give it to you. And he like slaps it in the water and washes it off. I was like, there's a lot going on there.
And she's
That's
like,
pretty cool, though.
I'm supposed to eat this? Okay, if you're into some weird stuff, Swamp Thing.
I mean, what do you want to do? Just start like,
Yeah. So she eats it. I don't know if I don't know. I want to know the science behind it.
I don't know what cardamom is.
It's like a spice. It's like a clovey type spice.
Okay.
I for some reason, that's what I imagined. That's interesting.
You want to do this as like a symbolic thing? It's like, no, not entirely. What do you mean? And she's like, Alex, everything sort of looks strange. Did you just dose me? Alex, oh.
Bam, bam, bam.
A little magic carpet ride together.
And again, breaking the fucking panel laws left and right.
What
Literally,
panel
yeah.
lost? What panel lost?
There is no panel laws when you are lost in the sauce, my friends.
You know, you would play a great Adrian because you rhyme perfectly.
I just like, and there's these little stars, these little jewels of light that are drift inside you. I don't have any of those. Like, yeah, those are insects.
Yeah, those things you're feeling, yeah, those are worms. Sorry.
everything's alive, Alex, and it's all made from the same stuff. I never realized that the world was like this. And then there's the little bit of star in their nether regions.
In the nether regions.
Their junk, their bump stuff.
In their junk, yes. In their bed buckles.
And then this is where I start getting like real Promethea vibes.
Yeah, yep.
It's I don't know what drugs they were doing when they did this, but I want some. I want some. Yes, all of them.
More was on ayahuasca.
This drawing here.
Hold on.
It's really badass.
Oh yeah.
That is some trippy shit right there.
And then like she's on like the side of the water, and then like she's like, I see the rats eating stuff, and like
she's like, it's
just seeing all of life. Only the pulse within the world, within us, within me. And I'm just waiting for like splush. she had it working, but she's seeing like life happening. Cycle of life, and I'll be damned if that bottom image does not look like something else.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, of course.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at that page right now. That's the page I was looking at because we are in the same page.
Yeah. And then Abby wakes up. She's like, I gotta pull my top up.
Yeah. I want to be immodest here.
Does this mean we're going out?
That's literally like, I don't know. I 100% identify with this because it's like, oh, do you like me? Does this mean that you really like me? So
I mean,
that's the last line of the book is like, are we boyfriend?
But it's not the last page.
Are we
No.
are we a couple now? This is the last page.
Are we Facebook official?
Right. Are we Facebook official?
The nuke face papers.
Would you fuck me?
I like that in that drawing they put flowers growing out of
yeah.
him, and the fruits are hanging. So you know they're going to be tripping for a while.
Yeah.
The whole town trips at one point.
Right.
And that is the end of this volume.
Oh shit! We reached the end.
We now have the couple together. And again, there's nothing more romantic than going to hell for the woman you love.
For the woman you love.
Yeah.
I thought I'm glad that at least we got to see them together, you know, for that issue at least. You know, I don't know what's gonna happen in the next trade. But I'm happy that they at least got that one moment, very intimate moment, you know, because I would have been very disappointed and sad that, you know, all these things are happening and he will never get the chance to be with her, you know.
Spoiler alert, he's with her for a very long time.
That's pretty cool.
And there's no way that like he wasn't gonna go to hell and like not get with her.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean,
because she started arguing, be like, listen, I don't know if you know this, but I went to hell for you.
Yeah.
It was a
you
rough
like
time.
me? You went to hell for me? Does that mean you like me?
Listen, I'd like to send people to hell that I dated, but I'm not going to go rescue.
I think he likes her a little bit.
That's why you're the best, Swampy.
It's swamplicated. That's
Swamplicated.
the relationship.
Stop it.
So I think, you know, this is just we've still got 4 more volumes of just Alan Moore's run on this.
Right?
So after that we get
it wasn't Mark Millar did later on, but
later on because we get Nancy Collins. Is it Rick?
Yes.
Veitch?
Rick Veitch did a long run on it.
And then
so I think he's directly after.
Yeah, and then it's Nancy Collins, which like I've been trying to go back and reread that, and that's really like that's kind of spoiler alert. Like I feel like that's when Teffy, ends up like they're like a cute little family. Like they've got their picket fence and they've got their home that Swamp Thing grows for them in that run in Louisiana. So yeah, we've still got like 6 more volumes to get to the Nancy Collins run.
Damn.
So my thoughts on this book, it's easily like an 8 for me. This might be the second strongest of this run. I mean, the first volume, the anatomy lesson sets everything going forward, so it's tough to like ignore that one. But I think front to back, this book was one of the best if you take out the Pogo issue.
Yeah. Completely disregard that issue. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever.
You imagine that it's actually a very deep thing, you know? It's like one day he'll be in an interview saying like, you all motherfuckers did not read this book, and this book contains a secret to immortality.
You know, I have said that Alan Moore time wizarded into the year 2020 and then wrote the instructions on how to unfuck the world, and he wrote it into Jerusalem. He probably actually did it with this fucking Pogo issue because
exactly.
So the first episode Jen ever did on her channel was reading the foreword to Planetary that Alan Moore wrote, and he weirdly predicted what was going on in 2020.
Exactly. So in it's literally like it's 1999. He's like, I'm writing this, like we're about to go into another millennium, and Alan Moore is writing 22 years ago, basically saying like, I don't know where the comic book industry is going. There seems to be like a lot of talk about like digital comic books, and I don't know if comic book shops and comics will be a thing. And this is literally, I'm reading this in like March of 2020, April, May of 2020,
lockdown,
where it's like so many comic book stores were not making it the year before, let alone now in 2020, where the publishing industry isn't even publishing anything. So 100%, Alan Moore has the key to something.
I'm telling you, he's lived a very long time.
It's in issue 32 of Saga of the Swamp Thing, because I'm not reading it because these fucking Pogo things.
Somebody please read it for us and tell us how good it was.
I actually read the whole issue because I had the same thing. You guys were like, "Am I gonna miss something?"
Yeah. I was like, I can miss it.
And then it finished, and I was like, what the fuck did I just read?
I'm so glad that shit did not happen to me alone, that I was not alone in that.
If anybody read Jerusalem by Alan Moore?
I was on a podcast. It's been over a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years, of some local guys who do Marvel by the month, and they go through and they read, like, all of these came out in, 67, March of 67. And so these are all the books that came out. And I think at least 2 of the guys had read Jerusalem front to back.
Wow.
So.
And they didn't kill the world.
No.
So this was a 16-hour audio book.
That's insane.
16 hours. It was 12 CDs.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's
the Pogo issue.
For anybody wondering, there might be some massive trolling going on Rob Liefeld's Whatnot auction right now.
Oh my God. Nope, not even gonna touch that one. My thoughts on this book. I think it's like I said earlier, they are more comfortable in this book, and you can tell, they're flowing to better. The art, the color, I mean, the writing, I don't have to say anything about the writing. We all know about it. We've been talking about the writing all night. But I think it's a more solid book than the first one. It's more coherent, more straightforward, I guess. Except for that Pog issue. It's a really beautiful book to watch, to read and look at it. It's beautiful. It has really good human moments, although it's a thing from a swamp. It has very beautiful moments, and I'm happy that we got to see that so early in this run, considering that we still have four more trade paperbacks.
I also kind of think that Karen Berger probably went to war for them with DC constantly, of letting them do what they wanted to do. Because again, like, it seemed like as it started getting more readers, they started allowing them to do a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Once it had like proved itself.
Yes. And Karen Berger just strikes me as that person who would have gone to war over everything to gain an inch. And read up on Karen Berger if you don't know about her history with DC and Vertigo and how she basically got it started. And I don't know if Sandman ever happens without Karen Berger fighting for it.
Nope. Or not the version
that
that we thought it was going to be, because she wanted it to be completely different, or she at least let Neil Gaiman have the reins to do something completely different.
Jesus Christ.
All of the phones at the same time.
I really don't have much more to say about it. Like, this kind of tells the whole story. I'm hoping that Moonlit Comics had fun at Rob Zombie tonight. She said she was going to stay up to date with what we were doing, and this is 100% a buy.
Oh yeah.
Well, if you find it on sale, or if you find the box set on sale and just get all 6 at one shot.
Yeah.
But
Good.
Like this.
Yes.
Mm.
Because the scary thing is, it gets better.
This smells good.
We're about to get into Constantine. And Constantine, when they first brought him on, when he just looked like Sting, and he's just an asshole constantly.
Is that the next volume, or is that the...
It's either the 3rd or 4th. Or at least they think they introduce him.
This is completely unnecessary.
Because there's the thing with Zatanna and her dad that happens.
I'm carrying this whole book so you two guys to see, and you're not even looking.
Sorry.
My God. I'm like super tired.
Oh, the new 52 one. Oof.
Yeah, I got it on sale the other day, and Amazon fucked it up, and then they refund me anyways.
Oh.
Constantine is in this next volume.
Okay.
Oh, that was too much. That was a lot of books to carry around.
Yeah.
I've had that where, like, at Comic-Con when I went to San Diego last time, I bought way too much, and I was like, I'm going to the FedEx booth, and I'm starting to ship this shit now.
Yeah.
I'm not carrying it home with me. And then I got the FedEx fee, and I was like, ugh.
That was me this Wednesday. That's me every Wednesday at the Comic-Con.
Yeah, I saw your video. Yeah.
I saw your video, and I was like, wait, what?
That was my actual stack. That's my actual stack.
I appreciate Scott giving you shit for getting Batman Classified.
It's Batman Secret Files, and there is incredibly gay.
Gardner.
Incredibly gay.
I read that one.
That's the only reason why I got it. I promise. It's not a cry for help.
I'm just buying this because it's here. I got it.
Yeah.
I still got do a power bomb to read. I got issue 2 to read, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
I bought the first one, and I haven't read it yet.
I read the last Philadelphia, and it was an interesting setup issue. And there was another book that came out this week that I was very intrigued to read, and I now don't remember what it was.
I hate to admit it, but one of my favorite books, I haven't read my whole stack. I've maybe just over half. But there's a Scott Snyder book that he does with Hayden Sherman about like female firefighters, but they're like they're
I don't think I've seen that one.
They're in prison, and then they allow them to like help fight fires, because that's a thing. Like if you're in prison, you can like work release and fight fires. It was one of my favorite books this week, and I hate it. I hate it. Who I am.
Barnstormers came out, and Tula Latte's art. Like, I want to go read that. It's only on digital on Comixology.
Yeah, I'm so behind on my reading. I'm not even gonna comment on what I'm reading right now because it's like a year ago.
That's okay.
Immortal X-Men #4 was probably one of my favorite issues the other week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it. I haven't even read Immortal X-Men 1.
It's so good.
It's probably my favorite X title right now.
Oh my god! I was so ready to go and cut everything off. I was just gonna stop buying single issues, and now you're saying these things. God damn it!
I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that I can go through this Axe Judgment Day event thing that's going on with Marvel, but Judgment Day 1 or Axe 1 that came out this week, amazing.
Really?
I just hear it called Axe, and all I think about is the douche fragrance.
Oh yeah, Axe.
Wait, but really, is it really good?
Maybe it's just because Kieran Gillen has disappointed me so much, and this one meant a lot. It was good. Yep.
Well, I guess I'll check it out.
It disappointed me so much.
We know what we're talking about.
I know.
You know what you did, Kieran Gillen?
What are we talking about?
Die.
Die.
What happened with Die?
It wasn't a horrible ending. It just...
Oh, it had a horrible ending? No!
It wasn't that it was bad. It was just... I don't know. I think...
Anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It's the same thing I had with... oh, God, what was that series? Paper Girls. Where it was just... It ended, and I was like, eh. Also, Gambit, thank you for ruining Pantera for me for the rest of my life.
You're welcome.
Did
Phil Anselmo was
ruin Pantera?
Phil Anselmo was doing white power gestures.
Yeah.
I never saw that. I saw that video and I was like, oh.
Yeah. So here's the thing. It hasn't ruined Pantera for me. I still love the music that came out, and I can still enjoy it, and I detach Anselmo from that because it takes me to a moment. It takes me to it brings me back to cooler moments, to cool times. And it's a part of my life, and I can't take that away. I cannot go through memories of my life without acknowledging that Pantera was a part of it, So I still enjoy those songs that came out and were part of of who I am and my growing up. But from that point on, he's dead to me. Anything that he showed, anything new, anything I already paid for those albums. What am I going to do? Just throw them away? No, I still. Me listening to those albums in my house does not give him any more money, does not support him in any way anymore, but takes me to relive those cool songs and to relive those cool moments. And so I separated that, but from now on, for me, he's as dead as the Abbott brothers.
I also, during this, I was reading it to the Death Clock album.
Yeah.
It worked. It worked for me as background music. It was between that and I was listening to Sepultura.
Yes. I haven't listened to Sepultura in a while. I think that's what I'm going to listen to tomorrow.
Dead Embryonic Cells, and then Arise. And then, of course, it started playing, was it Metal Serpent or whatever from Death Clock? I was like, oh, this is interesting.
Better Metal Snake.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Metal Snake. Yeah, I love that band. I love that band so much.
Mermaider.
They're gonna release a new album soon, so yes, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So yes.
I jam to that on a regular basis. Unironically, I love that.
Oh yeah. Yes. I love it. It's one of my favorite bands.
You'll listen to Death Harmonic and you're like, oh, they're making fun of Metallica.
Death Harmonic is absolutely incredible. It slaps. Mermaider and Go Into the Water. I ever.
Yes.
So good.
And the Galacticum albums are also really good.
I hated that comic.
Dr. Roxo.
Okay. So I have an update. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was say it's almost midnight.
Update on what?
So my partner, I requested that they draw me being embraced by Swamp Thing in a very romantic way. And it looks like they just finished it. Just sent that to me. I don't know
That's
if
pretty
you can
cool.
see.
You need to. It's too
lighting.
bright.
Too
Yeah,
bright.
Ooh, I like that.
It's too bright, but there I am being embraced by Swamp Thing.
It's like a romance novel cover.
It's a pretty cool
So
drawing.
my reference for this was actually
Give him some Fabio leaves.
Yep.
my reference that I sent to my partner was this.
Saga.
So I was like, that's the relationship I want with Swamp Thing.
That's great. That's actually pretty fucking cool.
Well,
good job.
It's midnight. Thank you, Rashid, and everybody else who participated today.
Yes.
And if you watch on the replay, we also thank you for that. I will be live next Friday night talking about 80s movies, and then back on Saturday night with the crew for Nita Hawes' Nightmare Blog by Rodney Barnes.
Yes.
And we have an interesting assorted group panel. And I'm kind of excited for that. We have people who've never been on the show before, so that's going to be good. Adriana just ordered her copy, so hopefully we'll have it read in time. And that'll be Saturday night, 10 o'clock, 7 p.m. Pacific. I almost said Southern. I don't know why the fuck I said that. My brain is fucked up at this point.
Southern.
I'm high on some
10 p.m. Southern time.
Tubers.
10 p.m. Southern time.
Yeehaw time. I don't know what the fuck I'm even saying.
My god.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah.
You
my
can catch
god.
them tomorrow morning, afternoon, evening.
To be determined. Just go and follow my page.
Yeah, it's easier.
On Twitter. We'll figure it out.
And
I have a question to ask
when she's
you.
ready, she'll let you guys know.
So, out of your merch that you were selling, what did Boy Howdy sell compared to the others? Because since you wanted to say it was a thing that
Well, because Mars does all of that. I don't even know. Mars came. She was like, "Well, I say hear me out, and you say boy howdy," and I'm pretty sure hear me out just makes more sense. So that's what I'm going to say. She designed all of the merch. She did everything with uploading everything. That is pretty much all I know is that she does all of that. And
I just want to know Boy Howdy stats because I wanted to disprove that it was going to be a thing.
Yeah. I'm sure I think that there's one or two out there, but I don't know the numbers. I've got a couple other things that I'm working on that I want to get on there, but
I swear to God, if you put out a CD-ROM shirt, I'll fucking murder you.
No.
A CD-ROM shirt.
I'll put out CD-ROMs.
That's even better.
Just kidding.
Gambit on his store had a shirt that he made that was going to benefit for women's reproductive rights.
Yes, I have not sold a single one. So, but if it does, I'm going to donate 50% of that to probably the Satanic Temple for the reproduction rights fight.
So go to gambitsinc.com if you're
government.
interested in looking at that and purchasing one.
Yes.
It is there. You can go to any of his pages and find links.
Yes,
to
it's
it.
Gambit Sync. You go to Gambit Sync on my Instagram and you go to my link and it should take you to in my website. You can find the link to the Redbubble store, or you can go straight to the Redbubble store and look for Gambit Sync and you will find my store there too. The shirt is called Resist. And it's pretty cool. I love it.
And I am just living my existential existence with no merch. Just finding my own private Shangri-La.
Dude, we have to design something for your channel so that you can wear your own.
Well, you kind of designed the ink panel shirt.
I know.
Did
You know
anything
what?
with it.
I can put that on the Redbubble store and order you a T-shirt so you can get one. You know what? I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
I know
Send me your
just-
address later.
Nat just got merch.
I bought a shirt. I got the one that says "Comics are delicious."
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
She looks like she's having a good time at Comic-Con.
That's pretty cool. Everybody's having a good time at Comic-Con. I don't want to talk about Comic-Con.
All I just see is like everybody short box this, short box that, whatnot this, whatnot that. I'm just like, it's too clicky, the whole thing for me now. Like, I don't know.
It's like rival gangs. Do you imagine that they like walk up on each other like
Like Anchorman, oh my
Yeah.
god, like in Anchorman.
Nerd fight! God, Steve Carell.
God damn it.
I've got to
Yeah, I
head
gotta
out.
go too. It's
yeah,
late.
guys. Right.
Okay, ending broadcast. Goodbye.
Bye.